Shalom, it's Jacob from VeEchad. Being that we're just started a new cycle of Torah, I wanted to show you guys a new way to do Shnayim Mikrah VeEchad Targoom, which is a mitzvah that the sages transmit that those who fulfill it, their days and years are increased. That's one of the reasons, a good reason to do it, but it gives the depth of meaning to what we're reading, and it supercharges all the words of the Torah, and we'll see that now. The easiest way is if you go to xptorah.com, which is short for experiencetorah.com, and it'll take you to the longer URL here, torahtargum.ahavaechad.org. So xptorah is just the easiest way to get there. After you go through the sign-up process, where you could select your bar bat mitzvah parsha, you could also leave the date blank if you want, or the name blank, because that's just up to you if you want to calculate out your real Hebrew birthday. But what you can do then as well is, once you're logged in and then select your parsha, you could select Berashit as well, instead of your parsha, just to all be on the same page. But make sure to go to the top in the Torah books button so that you can see and make your selection of whatever parsha you want to unlock. And the book of Tehillim is free, but if you want to support us and help us grow and expand this site, B'ezrat Hashem, you can get a $5 a month membership, and then you'll unlock the entire Tanakh and everything with the Targoom, and we'll show you how to play it now. The goal is just to begin to break down the text and arrange the information visually and create space for the Targoom, because when we're going to line up, and during that step, as we're doing it, we're going to learn Aramaic in an easy, fun way. So I just like to begin by just deleting extra titles and then backspacing. Okay, so we just have the text, and then we have the title and then the text. And so I could copy this special bet, because the bet of Berashit has to be written in this special fashion, and then click the big ot button to make the symbol bigger as the symbol bet, because that's the first big symbol in the entire Torah. So Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. That's a complete verse, and so we're gonna click after, hit enter, and enter. Split the verses. This is a very long verse, so we'll split that in half as well. Okay, there we go. And then it'll be up to you if you want to split the verses even longer or even more. Split long verses even shorter, But here we go, just quickly arranging the entire thing as we're going to break down the text, and then I'll show you right now how to then use the Targum. So firstly, it's just already so refreshing to see it centered. Information is visual. It's not text to read, but really information and beautiful wisdom to experience. In order to turn on the Targum layer, and then the meaning of the Torah, the words explicitly, or the partner, helper against him to the text, I'll just delete any extra titles. So let's say the Targum starts up here, just hit enter, lower it to the spaces that we've created, and now we can begin the actual game. Which is the fun. This is the most beautiful part. When you're at this phase, you've created the space, and now you're ready to just line it up. So now to jump into the actual Targum layer, you can hit Targum. Okay, and now we are in the Targum layer. And then we're going to begin. I'm just going to quit that for a second. And it should work. So here we go. Okay. So the goal is to push this text along and start to line up the text, assuming for right now, when we initially start, it's just going to be a word-for-word flip into this thing called Aramaic, this language, and we'll see what it all means and all the secrets and everything. It's the first secret. It's the same alphabet, same vowels. Aramaic is essentially jumbled biblical Hebrew, as the sages themselves transmit. Rabbi Levi Ashkenazi Medakdek, and the preciser, the one who is so precise and everything. So anyway, we'll click at the start of the Targum word and hit tab to jump spaces. And once we get near inside the Torah word, we're going to hit enter if need be, to just try to center the Targum word directly under the Torah word. And once we see that it's in the space that we want pretty much, we'll click after the word and begin to push the rest of the text along and just leave that word in place. So Berashit bekadmin, and we'll learn when to change colors and things like that. But this is how we're going through it initially. And Hashem's name in the Targoom sometimes has 3 yuds, so I just added a yud that you can either copy and paste or type it using the Hebrew QWERTY keyboard that you could download in the free download section and all that kind of stuff. So as you could see, once we're in a word, we leave it in place and then leave it in place and keep pushing the next word, so that it lines up directly under the Torah word. Once we're done, click after the 2 dots, which signify the end of the verse, and then hit enter twice, and now we're on the next line, and we've just lined up a verse of the entire Torah. So the same thing again, you just hit tab to jump spaces once you're in the word, and from this point on I would just use the space bar just to be more precise, but you can use it however you'd like. And we are just lining up the Targum to the Torah and learning at the same time, essentially like creating Aramaic flashcards. And so, bara Elokim yath et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Yath shemaya ve'yath ara. So shmaya, shamayim, aretz, ara is already the same symbol. It's very easy to tell. And so veruach Elokim merachefet al pnei hamayim, again tab, and verucha min kodam Hashem. See, Hashem is here, thank God, but here we added the yud, so let's add the yud. And all of a sudden it seems that there's 2 extra words in the Targum. So what do? Let's switch back to the Torah layer by clicking the actual Mikrah layer, which means that which we read, and we'll click inside and just add space, as sensical as you would make it. We need space to fit 2 more words, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Now let's jump back into the Targum, but in order to do that faster, we have developed a shortcut where it's this sine wave essentially right next to the number 1 on the keyboard, okay, just under the escape. And that should cycle between the layers. So now we're going to jump back into the Targum layer, click, backspace it, realign it, Verucha, and now Min Kodam has the space that it doesn't line up with anything seemingly right now. Okay, Min Kodam Hashem, Menashva, which we have that word, Ruach Noshevet in modern Hebrew, a wind that gently breezes by, and Al Pnei Hamayim, over the surface of the waters. Hit enter, and look at that, we're on already the 4th line. And this way, we're learning Aramaic, we're increasing our days and years, we're starting to notice all of these little nuances and starting to ask, what is all this, essentially? What is going on? And what does it all mean? And then we'll show you when the colors come in, like here, because it doesn't line up with anything, you could change it, the color, and just highlight it like this is a special section. Okay? And so that's how to line it up, and I think we see the picture, and you can then go and do the rest, and this is really an amazing experience. Specifically now at the start of the Torah, I'm curious to see how quickly you would already be able to speak Aramaic, as starting fresh and trying out this new system of learning. The other thing I'll show now before we finish this video, which is kind of quick. All right, 9 minutes. Let's do the colors really quick and then show you the depth. And this is what you could do the first year around, and then the second time you can even add the depth, or you could do it as you are learning. So here in the very first thing, Bereshit is bekadmin. We have the word kodem hiding in the word bekadmin. So we can highlight that, the dark red, which means there's some kind of conflict. It's like a warning label, stop sign, stop and think and look what's going on. Because we have the word kodem, right? Mishmei Kedem, we have Kedem and Kodem, we have the word in biblical Hebrew. So why all of a sudden is it in the Targum? This is what's called Kenegdo, challenging the Torah word. It's basically pointing out, pay attention what it's not saying, and then pay attention what it is saying. It's not saying the word Kodem. It's not, Bereshit does not mean Kodem. Bereshit has something else, or a lot of else to offer, or a lot else is being communicated. A lot of things are being communicated with the word Bereshit as opposed to Kodem, or Bekadmin, or Bekodmin. And this is really Kodem in like plural. So we can even add the slight visual change. The light red, because it's just showing a nuance that this is in a plural, this is in singular. Again, that's how much detail you can even get into it. Bara is the same word. Elokim, we'll learn later that this is really supposed to be Hashem's name. This is always the name that lines up with Hashem, the 3 yuds, and you'll see in Hashem's name there's 3 yuds hiding there. So this could be highlighted a different color every time it's used under the word Elokim, because Elokim is different than Hashem. Well, they're one and the same, but meaning that what is the difference when you decide to use the word Elokim, and what is the difference when you decide to reveal as the name Hashem itself? The actual tetragrammaton, as said, or, it's crazy, cool word, or whatever that is, but the 4-symbol name of God, tetra. And so here we're beginning to see, so Hashem, Yat Shmaya Ve'atara, that's fine. That's exactly just how to say it in what's called Aramaic, in the accent, the heavy accent of Aramaic, written in that accent. And the helper against him and all these kinds of things. Veha'aretz haita, and the earth, she was. So you could choose to highlight it maybe in the pink, because this is something that's lost in translation, and possibly the reason for the confusion in the world. As English is one of the most spoken influential languages, and in English, they neutered the entire language. You cannot tell which things are masculine, which things are feminine. And in the Torah, thank God you have all these distinctions so that even kids can understand what's the difference between a man and woman and masculine, feminine, and things like that. And so it says, Veha'aretz haita, the earth, she was, teaching the earth as a feminine thing. And we know this even from the concepts such as Mother Earth and the fertile earth and fertile myrtle and other things, and the fertile earth, that she could receive a seed and grow out an entire tree. And so that is all the parallels need to then be drawn. But it's saying that the earth, she was tzadia, she was tohu, in a state of complete chaos that we have no idea. And tzadia is desolate. So what is the difference between tohu and shemama, another word? And this is all part of the concept. There's no synonyms in biblical Hebrew, which is why what the Targum is doing is by highlighting this seemingly synonymous word that might be translated the same word in your language, it's pointing out, pay attention, it's not this other word, it's this word in the Torah. And it's this sharpening the text. It's like this dual-edged blade or sword, like the razors that as you use it, it supposedly sharpens it even more. And this is how it goes. So initially, we're going to use the Torah to understand the Targum, and then from the Targum, we'll use to understand the Torah later on. It flips. And so this is how we begin. This is our training wheels. We're beginning to learn what is Targum and what is this language, Aramaic, this accent, and not a new language, biblical Hebrew jumbled, and a bunch of other cool things. So we'll see. So the earth was tzadia, it was desolate. Rekana is empty, and maybe where rekan comes from, this sound out into the void, into this emptiness. Vehoshech is darkness. Al pnei tehom, over the faces or the surfaces of tehom, the depth that have no end. It's closed and sealed like the mem sofit. It's a tohu without an end. It's confoundment and confusion with no end in sight. And as the sages in the Midrash note, these 4 kind of concepts, al pnei tehom is one entire concept, Hoshech, this, These represent the 4 exiles. I mean, there's a lot of metaphors to understand. It's all inclusive. It includes all the levels, maybe, of all the information, all the different things you could extract and understand, and all the transmission. Not just people are making things up, and it's open to interpretation. Only after you've received the full interpretation on the basic levels and everything, is there room maybe for you to make insights after you've mastered the entire Torah. It's good to write down your thoughts as you begin to learn as well, but obviously just, All right. So it says, Vayomer Elokim, Yehi Or, Vayhi Or. Okay, so here we are. We demonstrated some of the colors, and here I sometimes highlight an extra vav in the Targoom to show that there's something missing here. Although that's not the actual place, but a maleh, meaning it has a vav, and this could have a vav and it doesn't, or has a yud and it doesn't. And so why is it written like that in the Torah? Everything is significant, even to that degree. One symbol's extra, one symbol's missing, the entire Torah is invalid. Imagine that. The strictest laws to preserve every single nuance and shape so that we could finally see what is, or begin to see what is the proper transmission from Sinai. And it'll get just even more beautiful the more we learn, the more we go through it. And if you have any comments or questions, we have the live chat also on the site. It comes with live support, so whatever you want, wherever you are, you can message us and we'll try to get to you as quick as possible, especially if you're in the middle of like the game and you have limited time and we're trying to help. So maybe you could note that in your message, sense of urgency right now, or whatever it is. Hopefully we'll understand and we'll see your message and help you as best as we can, or point you in the direction of who can. And so this is just the beginning, and there is so much beautiful beauty awaiting. Like, it's just incredible. All of the different things that are yet to come. This is the starting level, and Zrat Hashem, the more people that sign up and get that monthly membership of the price of a cup of coffee, you're going to get the best Torah education that maybe the prophets saw in their visions, how accessible it will be to access the Torah in her true, stunning, divine form. And the script, you can change your script in the settings and select AHAVA, ECHAD, Ashurit to be continually perfected and expanded upon, but the real shapes, the real symbols, restoring everything to how it really and originally was. And it'll be a pleasure to then go through the entire Torah and to go through and experience and to add the depth and the details, and you'll be able to make your own amazing Torah books on our site and then print them for yourself and have them, and then all the art and all the different things that will be arriving. And it's truly an amazing thing, and you're part of the very beginning, and I thank you for sticking with us during the time that it takes to get to where we all sort of already envision where it could be. We're going to try to do that. All right, and this is another aspect. You'll add the Simanei Rafeh. So there's so much to do in the Mikrah, there's so much to do in the Targum, but together we're beginning to see the depth and the beauty and the synthesis of the Torahs together, and showing how they're really one in whole. Without one, there is no other. One complete entity. Thank you so much for watching. Comments, questions, let us know. Thank you very much. Kol Tov.